The Cleveland Browns seem determined to make enemies this season, especially when it comes to giving the Baltimore Ravens extra motivation. And this week, they served up another heaping plate of bulletin board material, this time aimed straight at Derrick Henry. Grant Delpit, one of the Browns' most vocal defenders, looked dead into a camera and said that tackling Derrick Henry is not hard. Not just once, he repeated it. Confident, sure. But smart? Maybe not. Let's just stop and think about that for a second. This is Derrick Henry we're talking about. The same running back who's been stiff-arming grown men into another dimension for nearly a decade. The same guy who's made highlight reels look like horror films for defensive backs. And Delpit, cool as ever, brushed it off like Henry was just another guy with a pair of shoulder pads. Naturally, the king heard about it. And his response? Calm, cold, menacing. We'll see you on Sunday. That's all he said. But you could feel the weight of those words. That wasn't a man rattled. That was a man taking notes. And let's be clear, this is not just another AFC North game. This is the Ravens versus the Browns in Week 2, and tensions are already boiling. There's some added fire because the Browns are celebrating the 30-year anniversary of their franchise's existence, conveniently against the team that used to be the Browns before the move to Baltimore. Fans haven't forgotten that. Players haven't forgotten that. Whether the NFL schedule makers meant to add spice or not, it's here. This is personal. But here's the thing. This Browns team hasn't just been confident. They've been reckless with it. Just last week, Jerry Jeudy stirred the pot, saying the Ravens secondary didn't pose any challenges. That's a big claim against a group full of former first-rounders. Sure, the Ravens secondary didn't have their best game in Week 1, but to act like there's no talent there? That's wild. Now we've got Grant Delpit poking the bear, or rather, the beast, that is Derrick Henry. And if you think Henry doesn't take that personally, then you haven't been paying attention to how he operates. That man feeds off of disrespect. He takes every doubt, every slight, every unnecessary jab, and turns it into fuel. And you know what makes this even funnier? The Browns' own social media team tried to back Delpit up by posting a clip where Delpit leveled Derrick Henry. Except, it was on a run where Henry gained over 10 yards. They're out here posting highlights of their guy making a big hit after Henry already got a first down. That's not domination. That's damage control. That's like bragging about knocking over a tank after it already rolled through your city. And don't forget, last season, Derrick Henry absolutely gashed this Browns defense. In 2 games, he ran for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. That's not just productive. That's dominant. And yet here we are, with Browns players talking like they've already won the matchup. Like they've figured out how to stop a man no one in the league has consistently stopped in the past 5 years. It's one thing to be confident. It's another to be delusional. And this Browns team? They're walking a very thin line. Even Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton chimed in, not directly at Delpit, but on the idea of bulletin board material itself. He said, if you need bulletin board material to get fired up to play, that's a problem with you. And from a professionalism standpoint, he's not wrong. You should bring it every snap, every game, no matter what someone else says. But as much as Hamilton downplays the idea, motivation is real. These guys are human. And not everyone is built like Hamilton, who plays with the same intensity no matter the situation. Some players thrive on disrespect. They internalize that noise and unleash it when the lights are on. And you better believe that's exactly what Derrick Henry is going to do. Look, the Browns defense had an excellent showing against the Bengals in Week 1. They held Joe Burrow and company to 7 total yards in the second half. That's elite. They're also leading the league in run defense after just 1 game, allowing only 2 yards per carry. That's impressive. But let's not pretend that automatically translates to stopping Derrick Henry. He's not just another back in the league. He's a different breed, a one-man wrecking crew. And the minute you start pretending like he's not hard to tackle, you set yourself up for humiliation. There's also a history here. When teams call out Derrick Henry, things usually don't go well. Ask the Bills. Ask the Jaguars. Ask any team whose defensive back ended up on the wrong end of a viral stiff arm. It never ends well. And the Ravens? They're sitting back watching all this unfold. They're not the ones talking. They're letting the Browns write the checks. And they'll be ready to cash them on Sunday. That's the difference. Baltimore doesn't need to chirp to get motivated. They remember what happened in Week 1. They know they blew a game they should have won. They know the national media is roasting them. And now, they're being called soft by a team that hasn't proven anything yet. Add that all together, and what you get is a Ravens team playing with fire in their eyes. You think Roquan Smith isn't watching? You think Odafe Oweh isn't ready to make a statement? You think Derrick Henry didn't circle this game on his calendar the moment he saw those comments? Because he did. That "we'll see you on Sunday" wasn't just a throwaway quote. That was a message. And if the Browns aren't careful, they're about to find out what happens when you poke the wrong bear. While the Browns were busy running their mouths, the Ravens were busy making smart moves, the kind of front office work that doesn't make headlines right away, but sets the table for something bigger. Baltimore quietly restructured Roquan Smith's contract, turning $12 million of his base salary into a signing bonus and instantly creating $8 million in cap space. And let's be honest, this wasn't just a future flexibility kind of move. This was the kind of chess move you make when you're ready to bring someone in, someone who can make an impact right now. Naturally, everyone immediately turned their eyes toward one name, Jadeveon Clowney. And for good reason. He was a key piece of this Ravens defense last season, and his absence was felt in Week 1. The Ravens' pass rush just didn't bring the pressure they needed, especially late in the game. It wasn't an embarrassment, but it wasn't nearly disruptive enough to change the outcome. And that's where a guy like Clowney comes in, a proven disruptor who knows the system, knows the culture, and can slot in immediately. Now, to be clear, nothing is official yet. But Clowney just visited the Cowboys and left without a deal. And when a player leaves the building without a contract, especially this late in the offseason, that's never a great sign for that team's chances. That tells you either the money wasn't right or the player didn't love the fit. Either way, it opens the door wide for a Ravens reunion, especially now that the team has some financial breathing room. And look, this could mean a lot more than just adding Clowney. It's a message, a not-so-subtle warning shot to the guys already on the roster. Because now, there's no more excuse. The Ravens have the money to make a move. If you're underperforming, whether it's David Ojabo, who was inactive in Week 1, or Odafe Oweh, who was invisible for most of that Bills game, your job isn't safe. This roster is deep, competitive, and hungry. If you're not bringing it, someone else will. That's why the Roquan restructure was so important. It gives Baltimore leverage. It puts pressure on the locker room without even saying a word. And it gives Eric DeCosta and company options, something every contender needs when the season gets long and injuries start piling up. Now, let's entertain the idea that Clowney does come back. Where does he fit? Who loses snaps? Because this isn't just about creating cap space. It's about creating a role. And that's where things get interesting. You've already got Kyle Van Noy, Oweh, Ojabo, Tavius Robinson, and Malik Ham in the mix. That's 5 edge guys. Carrying a 6th? Not likely. Someone's getting cut. Someone's getting benched. Someone's getting demoted. And that's the kind of decision that can shake up a defensive room in a good way. But it's not just the pass rush where the Ravens could spend that cap space. There's room to upgrade in other areas, too. Injuries always create opportunities, and flexibility is power. Maybe a receiver becomes available via trade. Maybe a cornerback hits the market. Maybe a depth piece at offensive line makes sense. You never know what kind of talent will be out there after Week 2. But now, the Ravens are in position to pounce, not just react. That's the difference between a good front office and a great one. And while all this is happening off the field, there's a storm brewing on it. The Ravens are gearing up for a bounce-back game in the worst way. Week 1's collapse wasn't just a bad loss. It was a wake-up call. A reminder that this team, for all its talent, can't afford to lose focus for even a second. The Bills didn't beat the Ravens with superior talent. They beat them with execution and late-game discipline. And if that doesn't light a fire under John Harbaugh's squad, nothing will. But there's another layer to this story, the emotions surrounding the upcoming matchup against the Browns. And specifically, the return of Joe Flacco to Baltimore. For the first time since he was traded back in 2019, Flacco will walk back into M&T Bank Stadium wearing the opposing team's colors. And while he may not be the same quarterback who led the Ravens to a Super Bowl, the nostalgia is unavoidable. Fans remember the deep balls, the playoff heroics, the calm under pressure. But this isn't a reunion tour, this is war. And the Ravens' defense needs to treat Flacco like any other quarterback standing in the way of a win. Flacco's game hasn't changed much. He's still got the arm. He still loves to take deep shots. But the mobility? It was never great to begin with, and now it's nearly non-existent. If Baltimore's edge rushers can't get pressure on Flacco, something is seriously wrong. This is a guy who needs time to operate. If you collapse the pocket, he struggles. If you force him to move, he panics. This is exactly the kind of quarterback the Ravens should feast on, especially after facing a mobile nightmare like Josh Allen just a week ago. And let's be real, this Browns offense didn't exactly light up the scoreboard in Week 1. They were flat. They struggled to run the ball. They couldn't protect the quarterback. And outside of a few isolated moments, they didn't look dangerous. If the Ravens' defense shows up even halfway focused, this should be a manageable challenge. But again, it all comes down to execution. Meanwhile, the Ravens' offense has its own statement to make. For all the explosive plays and highlight reel moments, they struggled in the red zone last week, settling for field goals instead of touchdowns, leaving points on the board. That won't cut it in this league, especially against division opponents. And especially not with a defense like Cleveland's, who still have one of the most dangerous players in football in Myles Garrett. Garrett can take over a game in seconds. He's not just powerful, he's fast, instinctual, and constantly hunting. If you're not prepared, he'll wreck your entire game plan. And with Patrick Ricard looking unlikely to play, the Ravens will be missing one of their key weapons in handling pass rushers like Garrett. That's a huge loss, especially with young offensive linemen like Roger Rosengarten still adjusting to the pro level. There's no sugarcoating it. This is a dangerous spot for the Ravens. They're 0-1. They've got a division game on deck. The national media is circling like vultures, and a former franchise legend is coming back looking to spoil the party. But here's the thing. This is when the Ravens are at their best. Backs against the wall, doubt in the air, anger in their eyes. Sunday isn't just about righting the ship. It's about sending a message to the Browns, to the league, and to themselves. And with $8 million suddenly available to spend, it's clear the Ravens aren't playing the long game. They're going for it now. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL is buzzing with whispers tonight as rumors swirl that the Baltimore Ravens have pulled off a move that could redefine their offensive identity. Tyreek Hill, the league's most electrifying wide receiver, is allegedly set to join the Ravens. Sources, though unconfirmed, suggest the deal is done, and if true, Baltimore's already high-octane offense could instantly become the fastest in the NFL. Imagine Lamar Jackson connecting with Hill, the cheetah himself, sprinting past defenders with jaw-dropping speed on every play. The Ravens' playbook, already dynamic with Jackson's improvisational magic, would now have an X-factor capable of turning a single deep ball into an instant highlight reel. Insiders hint that Hill's presence might force every opposing defense to rethink their strategy entirely. No more focusing solely on stopping the run or containing Jackson's elusiveness. Now they have to chase the fastest receiver in the game across the field. The speculation has ignited a frenzy across social media, with fans already envisioning touchdown after touchdown. Analysts are quietly debating whether the Ravens, traditionally known for their balanced attack, are now leaning into sheer speed as a weapon. Could this pairing create the NFL's most dangerous vertical threat? Some whisper that Hill's addition makes Baltimore a legitimate Super Bowl contender overnight, while others caution that chemistry and timing will be key. Rumor mills are also churning with talk that this move could trigger a domino effect across the league. Teams desperate to match such lightning-quick offenses might chase similar speed demons in free agency, sparking a new arms race of pace and athleticism. Meanwhile, fantasy football enthusiasts are already recalculating projections with Hill poised to dominate the stat sheets alongside Jackson. While nothing is official yet, the sheer audacity of this alleged signing has left the NFL world stunned. If true, the Ravens' offense would not just be fast, they would be blinding, leaving defenders chasing shadows as Baltimore looks to rewrite the rules of speed in professional football. One thing is certain. The rumor alone has set the rumor mill ablaze, and fans can't stop imagining the chaos and excitement of this potential supercharged offense. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.